right, man. I'm sorry. It's very funny that there are two obvious sounds that happen during the intro. This.
And the flick. And
Yeah.
sweet relief.
Oh. All right. Well.
What's going, man?
It's going all right. Let's see what we got
Another
going on
Monday.
here. Let's see what we got going on here. Religion. Neither one of us are particularly religious.
Jesus.
Race relations. We're both white. I was told today I needed to stay in my lane, so.
There's only one group pretty much gets told to stay in their lane.
All right. Well,
Yes.
let's us stay in our lane today. Although, the last two podcasts that we put out, we talked about some things that perhaps, the assassination thing, that's one thing. The Israel-Palestine thing, neither one of us are Israeli, neither one of us is Palestinian. And while we may have valid concerns about that conflict, let's get back to old school, just lighthearted shit. And let's stay in our lane. What do white people do?
I guess we play video games.
Yeah, mayonnaise sandwiches. But no, no, and we've done
What's
some
that, Pong?
we've. You know what? No, you can't put race into that. It's two white paddles hitting around a white ball. It's completely just it's white. It's all white.
In the black background.
Okay, well,
It's fucked up. It's
I
in
think
the back.
I think that's more the technology of the time. I mean, do you remember the old school Mac computers that you played Oregon Trail on? Green screen or orange screen?
You ever play the Halloween Atari game?
Wait, are you talking about like the Michael Myers
Yeah.
Atari? Did you ever play that in real life?
Mike had it on an emulator.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say
I never saw a physical copy before.
Angry Video Game Nerd did that.
It's a shitty game.
It is. It's Atari.
Hey, probably the first horror movie game off a main franchise.
Dude, when you said that, I was like, please tell me you actually, like, even if you don't have the physical copy, please tell me you played it. Mm-hmm. Like the actual physical copy on an Atari. But you said Mike had an emulator. No, AVGN did an episode on that game, and it had an instruction book. So it was the for reals game, but the Atari actual cartridge was it had apparently a piece of masking tape over the top of it that had Halloween written in like orange magic marker. Like, dude, if you and once again, everybody look up the AVGN review on this, but when you read the instruction manual, they tried so hard not to say Michael Myers, anything that was actually involved with it. Even back in the day, a game like that, like copyright. This was obviously somebody made a bootleg cartridge. People are still doing that kind of stuff. It's amazing what people will do. There are people who are like coding games and loading them up. I don't know how they do it. I imagine they find like an Atari cartridge or an NES cartridge and somehow wipe the data off of it and then reprogram it for their own games. And it's just amazing because you could easily just turn that into a ROM and fling it out into the internet. But these people are like, no, I want to fucking play it on my shitty TV with my shitty yellowed by age NES control. Always love that. You could always tell, if you get like an old NES or SNES, if it was in a house with smokers.
Oh yeah, that gray would be yellow.
It'd be orange.
I was grateful mine stayed gray.
That's nice. Speaking of the gray and the
You were
orange,
better off getting the one with the power pad if you had the smoker house. At least then it was orange and it was like wipe it away. Oh, it's just dust.
and this is completely not related to the smoking thing, but I remember you telling me this, and this is going to get into the subject we were talking about earlier. I I can't remember which one is more rare or older, but didn't you have the older NES light gun? Was it the orange or was it the gray that was the older one?
I think the gray was the oldest because
Oh,
the Power
okay.
Pad came out later, but it was still the 80s when that version came out.
Yeah, but I remember.
That's why it was orange, because it came with that Power Pad. So there was 3 games on the one
Oh, okay.
one thing, you know.
But I could have swore you told me that like you were talking to somebody at Funko Land when Funko Land was an actual store. That you mentioned something like you had the orange one or the gray one, and they were telling you like, oh shit, that's worth money, man, because it's, you know, there's not as many of the gray ones as there are orange ones or whatever. The light gun, for folks who don't know, was basically a blaster for the NES.
I believe it says the Zapper on it. At the bottom
Did it
of the
really say
handle.
Zapper?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I always, yeah, I mean, that's what I called it. I called it the blaster or the Zapper. Didn't call it the SNES light gun, blah, blah, blah. And then, those old stores, dude. Funko Land specifically was like the place where you could go to get, and you were saying it earlier, that, what was it, you know, late 90s, early 2000s, you know, even, well, in the early 2000s, certain things started to kind of get phased out, like, you know, as businesses were going on, like,
Yeah, but
we
the
can't
cheap
sell
price,
NES
you could
games.
get the old fucking games there, and they were cheap as fuck. I
Oh,
got
yeah.
some still with like the old price tags when it was like $2.99 for a fucking game for the Genesis or
Yeah,
a
oh, yeah.
Super Nintendo, when it's like, holy shit, you know? And now the prices are all bloated out now. That shit's all probably collapsing because so many people have tried to sell it and make the big money. And there's certain things that are worth money. But back then it was awesome because I actually, you know, when you wanted to play the fucking games and you didn't want to pay an arm and a leg, and then you could get it. You could get them dirt cheap with the fucking case and everything back then too.
See, now that was one thing I never, well, one, I didn't really care about it, you know, but your brother had been like, I think he went on like eBay or something, and I don't know if he has the games. I assume he has the games, but he came here one day with just like the manuals for old SNES games and NES games. He's like, dude, look what I got on fuck, you know, I was like, oh shit, that's cool. You know, and I'm sure he has the games, but people now have to do that. It's like getting a classic car, you know, you get this old fucking junker car and then you got to buy like 5 other cars so you can get the parts that are still good on that are fucked up on this one. So, you know, you get the cartridge. Okay, I got the cartridge. Well, I really want the manual in the original box. And if you get all 3 of them together, yeah, you're going to pay $200, $300, $400 for an old SNES game. Yeah. But yeah, like Babbage's. Well, I don't know if did. Like I said,
Babbage's didn't do used games.
that's, you know.
But
So,
there was a million systems at the time when Babbage's was big.
but Funko Land was the big one for like if you wanted to get rid of your old games or if you
Yes.
wanted to buy old games, that was the place to go.
Yep.
And there are still stores like that, like around here in Virginia. Well, at least in our part of Virginia. Around here, I think the closest is like Fredericksburg. What is it? Savage or Sage Mantis? There's an old it's a retro video game store. I think it's called Sage Mantis. And if you want like, you know, an old, you know, NES controller, you can go there and get it. You're probably going to pay an arm and a leg for it. I remember going in there and seeing Game Boy Advance. Not an old system in terms of, you know, how old systems can get. And they had like all 3 Castlevania games, or maybe it was 2 or 3 Castlevania games for the Game Boy Advance. $250. No, you get the cartridge, you get the box, you get the manual. But Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah.
I bought those games when I was a kid and didn't take care of them because I was a fucking idiot kid that didn't, you know, take care of his shit. But now you're talking about Babbage's. I never really went in there for I mean, they did like shit, Babbage's at the time. I doubt PlayStation 2 was around when Babbage's was around. They probably got bought out around that time.
Yeah, that was about the time where it changed.
Yeah, but I just went straight to the PC section. I had a Super Nintendo, and I had a Super Nintendo. I got a Super Nintendo when everybody else was already playing like PlayStation and N64, and I just played computer games. That was my big thing. But I would go there, and the computer games are in these huge ass boxes like fucking porno movies. I don't know if you ever had to like buy any of the PC games. Like Tomb Raider was cool as shit because it came in like a triangle box instead of a square box.
Yeah, that was a shitty controls on that fucking game though. I got the first one.
Did you play it for the computer?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had a few Beavis and Butthead games for the computer also, and there was like this Simpsons game where it was like Virtual Springfield or something, and you could play like the old school boxing game in the arcade that Bart played on one of the old
nice.
episodes.
Yeah, and that seemed like a thing for the cartoon games. Well, I mean, there was only really 2 or 3, but the 2 that I can remember because you mentioned Beavis and Butthead, there was Virtual Stupidity.
There was another one, and that was what we had. Virtual Stupidity is the one I wanted to play, but that one was hard to find. That came out before we actually got a computer.
Oh, okay, but wasn't Virtual Stupidity like where Beavis and Butthead like explored Highland and shit?
Yeah,
nice.
I mean, they did that on the Genesis and shit too, but the computer one looked exactly like the fucking cartoon because the graphics were just better on the computer.
Oh yeah,
it looked neat, but you know how controls were back then with some of those games. Too.
Dude. You mentioned Tomb Raider, man. That's fucking awesome. I thought like I was the only person in the United States. I know that's a silly comment to make, but like everybody was playing PlayStation, you know, and I was trying to find some of these games that kids were talking about in school, you know, and there were some ports. So like Tomb Raider, we
had Duke Nukem also on the computer. We didn't have it on the system.
Duke Nukem was like the best on the PC. And then when they ported it to, I think they ported it to Super Nintendo, didn't they?
They might have. I know
Maybe
they did 64,
I'm thinking of Doom.
And yeah, they did do a shitty Doom for the Super Nintendo. But Duke Nukem, they did 2 slightly different versions of the first one for the 64 and the PlayStation, and they titled them something a little different at that time.
But yeah, I mean,
it's just to make them more original to them.
But yeah, I mean, when it came to like the PC, at the time, you know, any of the new modern games, like I played, and it was actually, man, you know what? I want to look at it now. I want to look at like Tomb Raider, maybe not so much, but I remember getting Resident Evil 2 and Metal Gear Solid for the PC. I'm gonna punch myself in the dick if I see that those games like fucking pull like $1,000 on eBay or something right now.
I feel like the time for a lot of that maybe it passed because so many people were trying to make money and then it became bloated. And now you have a time where people can't afford to put as much into that.
Yeah, well, and like Resident Evil has been ported. 1 and 2 have been ported so many times to so many different systems that it's like whatever. But Metal Gear Solid, there's only 2 systems I know that has, well, 3. So original PlayStation. Then they did that Twin Snakes remake for the GameCube, and then the PC version. And of course, I think that they're doing a new HD collection for the new systems now, which I'm actually looking forward to. I've been kind of going on like a video game renaissance over the past couple of weeks, man. Playing like old Silent Hill, Metal Gear. Of course, stealing everything. I'm not, you know, these collectors, I was telling you about that. You know, these collectors are like, oh, yeah, the Japanese version of this game will fetch a pretty hefty price. Why? I mean, if you want the cartridge and you want all that shit to put on your shelf and take up space, okay, fine, cool, whatever. But you know, you can get the ROM for free. Just steal it. I'm stealing it.
Yeah, no shit.
Although, if I'm blathering on here, just stop me. But listening to some of these video game history things, man, we were so lucky in America to get the games that we got. What is it called? I think in Europe it's called PO or PWO or POW versions of games, right? So like Contra, right? Running through, run and gun, fucking blasting a bunch of fucking dudes that are running at you. Did you know in Europe they had to completely change the sprites of the game? And from what I gather, it's all based on like Germany. Because Europe, it's like if we got games here, but then like North Dakota was like, we don't like how much blood there is in the game. So then the rest of the country had to change the rest of our country had to change the game just because North Dakota. Well, in Europe, if you want to bring the game to the European market, Germany is like, no humans dying, no blood, no violence.
Yeah, probably because of the humans that controlled Germany.
Well,
you got to think at the time Contra came out, Germany was also still split up, at least in Berlin. So,
well, and that's the thing too.
I mean, I don't know if that had anything to do with it.
In Europe, it wasn't even called Contra. It was called like Grisor or something. Like the reason why they called it Contra, apparently, in the United States was because during the time that it was coming out, it was during the Contra crisis, during Reagan and all that shit.
Oh, the Iran Contra
Yeah.
the weapons sales and shit. Yeah. You got to think though, man, Germany's under constant scrutiny. So,
yeah, but it's just so weird.
They're like, we can't have this. They'll jail people for questioning certain things. So they're paranoid as fuck.
But
they're
isn't
probably forced to be that way.
But you know that, and we can go into a completely.
Oh, I wasn't
different...
going. I was just
no.
saying,
I mean, there's the thing. Like Germans have no sense of humor.
There's been a tight leash on there since 1945.
It's like Germans have no sense of humor, you know, and it's like whatever.
Yeah, because everything's eggshells when they move around.
Yeah, well, and I mean, shit. Oh, man, we're gonna get on this fucking rah shit. I'm sticking to video games. Anyways, in Europe, all the sprites of humans running at fucking Bill Reiser. Is that his name? The main character?
Oh, for Contra, I don't remember the character's names.
I think it was definitely Reiser. He's like Bimmy and Jimmy.
Billy and Jimmy?
Yeah. But all those sprites had to be replaced with robots. And that's still something that happens to this day. Like, this isn't like, oh, man,
well, it was like when they did Ninja
80s.
Turtles into a cartoon, and the Foot Clan in the comic book were humans, but then when they did the cartoon, they were all robots, so they could just have oil and all this other shit.
And you know what?
Everywhere.
And that even happens here in the States. Remember Samurai Jack?
Oh, yeah. Well, that was the big one until they did that final season. They did what they wanted to do.
But isn't that so great? You can see Samurai Jack rip through aliens, rip through robots. He's covered in green blood or black oil, and it's like, if those were humans, you know that's blood. Why is it any different? Why? What makes it different? Oh, because they're robots or they're aliens? Oh man! Uh-oh! Better turn that turn signal on. I'm about to shift lanes.
God damn it! I thought I turned that shit.
You fucked it all up. Start it over. You have an alarm?
No, it was ringing.
But
I just blanked a call.
But no, it's amazing though how lucky we were as Americans to get the games that we got, and then in Japan. I imagine it was like the Wild West, and like anything that you wanted. Like, I mean, you got to imagine, all right, a lot of these games from Nintendo, at the time, or Sega, were coming from Japan. And then, you had the MSX console, you had the arcade consoles. I mean, stuff that we never even fucked around with: ColecoVision, Commodore 64, blah 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 blah. Name all of the old, systems that they were putting games on or porting games on. A lot of this stuff was coming from Japan. So even though we got most of the unedited versions of this, we still must have been getting like even slightly, even if it's just a drop of water, a little bit watered down. But then Europe, damn, dude, like storylines are completely changed, characters are completely changed just because it's like kill humans bad, make them a robot or an alien. And it's like,
it's because Europe sucks.
But it happened for lots of games. From the videos I was watching, doing some research and stuff, Castlevania pretty much stayed the same. But then, once again, you're not killing real humans. You're just killing zombies and werewolves. You're killing evil monsters, not real living humans that had families. They're sprites. They didn't have families. They're less than dead. They never were.
You think they had the blood code in Europe?
Ooh, that's a good one. I need to look that up because you know what? I haven't looked up any video game history of Mortal Kombat. But if you were going to say one major thing that was edited in America.
Well, Super Nintendo didn't have it at all, but Genesis had it.
Well,
for the first one.
Yeah, for the first one, basically, and if I remember correctly,
the rest of them, they all had blood.
Sega had blood for the first one. Sega had blood. Super Nintendo had sweat.
Yeah.
You were like punching like gray juice out of your enemies.
And Genesis, you did have to put it in the code. But after that, it was just there.
Yeah, 2, 3, whatever. It was just like gore, more for gore. I give it 4 for gore.
You got the M.
Yeah. Oh,
M
yeah.
or
The
MA.
ESRB.
Yep.
And, man, we can
Hey,
go.
fair enough. If that got you to put your shit out, it's like, hey, that warning's on there.
You know what, though? It's very funny that you mentioned
that. Shit sold games just like explicit lyric stickers.
It totally did, and it's funny that you mentioned that. And now we, I kind of want to stick to video games, but here's something that's more in your wheelhouse than my wheelhouse. But not as much with the ESRB, because I believe the ESRB was strictly involved with games, but when they were first trying to censor music with the explicit advisory sticker, you had John Denver, the fucking super group here as far as censorship goes. You had John Denver, you had Dee Snider, and you had fucking
Frank Zappa.
Frank Zappa going before Congress and saying, like, this is my art, this is my speech, you're censoring my speech with this sticker. And actually, it's kind of weird, because if these 3 artists had really gotten their way, they kind of, in a business sense, would have shot themselves in the foot, because like you said, you slap that fucking M rating on the ESRB, or you slap that explicit advisory sticker on there, and the kids fucking want it, and it's weird, I wonder if that was kind of a subtle business ploy, It's kind of weird that this one main thing that was supposed to help censor things actually, or maybe it's just the way that I want to say American spirit, because we live in America, but maybe if you censor anything anywhere, the harder it is to get, the more people want it. The Barbra Streisand effect. I don't know if you ever heard about that. Okay. But yeah, that was a very, it was, I never had a problem with it. To go back to your brother, the movies that he would watch as a little kid, and then your parents kind of like, should he be watching this? I was the same way, dude. I was watching movies like fucking Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Shopping Mall, all that shit when I was like 8, 9, 10 years old.
Yeah.
That came out all right, I think. I think. It's relative. It's like Walmart. It's like Walmart at 3 a.m.,
I mean,
which
at least
doesn't
it wasn't
exist anymore.
like marathons of some torture porn movies.
Ooh,
Like
you mean like
some
Faces
were.
of Death?
Or the way it got later on with Hostel and shit like
Oh,
that.
dude,
you
you know
look at
what?
some of the
I gotta
shit
tell
we
you.
watched, it's almost like cartoonish in a way, and it was probably better.
You know what? Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street and all that shit. Dude, tame compared to Hostel.
Dude, if
That
it wasn't
made
for
my
the tits and
butthole
the
pucker.
F-bombs, some of those later Friday 13th, the gore was so like, it was there, but really cheesy and dumbed down. It could have been PG-13 if it wasn't for the one set of tits and the F-bombs.
You know what? Good point. Good point. Yeah, the whole censorship thing is weird. You know what? I'm gonna do some research on that. We might just do a whole episode on censorship, because I do remember one thing. Here's the ultimate thing, right? where censorship was a thing. Professional wrestling, right? You could see some dude come out there in a fucking Speedo, and that's all. It's a Speedo and boots and some knee pads. But then, later on, with like, what was it? Sable and, what was the Latina chick's name?
Olita.
Boom. When
Yeah,
some
she
of,
had a thong.
Yeah,
always
when
above the pants. And
when some of that
Yeah.
stuff started coming out, it was like, oh wow, could you imagine that? Titties sell.
Yep.
But you could see some muscle bound dude come out there, and maybe ladies. It wasn't the market for ladies, but any ladies who were in the market for wrestling were probably flicking that bean every Monday night. You know what I mean? But
like when Val Venus would come out,
Val Venus with
the
the
porn star
Yeah.
wrestler.
Val Venus, Jesus Christ. Hello,
With the
ladies.
ladies.
Goofy looking motherfucker.
But I do remember at one point in time, and maybe it's changed
His music
now.
was like smooth jazz too.
But yeah, like you couldn't see a nipple if you saw if you saw a concentric circle within a semi-concentric circle with a dot in the middle of it. Edit it, blur it. Okay, fair enough. But if you saw, I think there was like a rule, literally a rule, like over 2 inches of ass crack, and you need to censor that. So you could see a plumber fucking hanging his fucking hairy ass out of a fucking, kitchen sink in a sitcom, no big deal. But those pants drop 1 less inch, and it's like, this is pornography now. Nobody's flicking their bean to the fucking hairy plumber.
It was weird with that shit though, man. There was a period of time, remember, with that old ass show I Dream of Jeannie, and they used to like make that chick Barbara Eden pull her pants up to a certain point because she couldn't show her belly button, or they'd want to censor it or not air it.
Wow. I don't remember that. That's a perfect example. It's weird
Yeah,
how
man.
censorship has changed
It's like,
over the decades.
ho, step back, put on your burqa.
Yeah, and then you can take that to a completely different level with, well, we're gonna need to edit or completely cut out this scene of Jason Voorhees, throwing a belt loop around somebody's head and crushing his skull against a tree. Okay, fair enough. What do you want to do about these scenes of our military launching hundreds of rockets from our newest rocket launching device into a country that nobody knows about? That's fine. It's fine. Looks cool as shit, right? Do you see blood and gore? Well, I mean, not from this angle, but if we had a camera guy over where the rockets are landing, there's probably tons of like dead men, women, and children all over the place. Yeah, whatever. We just won't show that, but we'll show the beginning. We won't show the end. Why not? Why not? It
You
sells.
can show the part where it looks like a new wave of Dresden.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, nobody's showing somebody trying to escape a firebomb into a fountain in the town square and then getting boiled alive. But in the censor's defense, anybody who had a camera there would probably have burned to death as well, and the film as well. So
Sucked into the asphalt. They got reheated and
But-
boiling.
yeah, but you know what? There's no excuse. There's no excuse for that. You know what? Back then, Dresden, the technology just wasn't there yet to film human atrocity. But now we've got satellite images. Oh my God! Could you imagine what our American
I mean,
government
it's there if you set
sees?
it up after the fact and pre-plan.
Yeah, of course. And you make sure that all of the cameras that are on every light post and stoplight are around there. You make sure that they're shielded first before you start your genocide. And then, you get it. God damn, dude, we're talking about video games, man. Oh man. But yeah, the censorship in video games, it's such a weird mishmash that it did create this kind of collector's society. We were lucky as Americans. What do we want to collect? We want to collect the weird ass versions of games that were edited and not as good.
You want to hear about a game that pissed people off that was from the PS2
Ooh,
era?
tell me about it.
Uriah picked up this game. Do you remember a game called The Guy Game?
The Guy Game.
One of the shittiest fucking games. It was a stupid trivia game, and then when I guess you got shit right, there'd be clips of
You see like a titty.
women showing their tits flashing. It was
okay.
like Girls Gone Wild, the game, I guess.
Well,
Horrible game. But it was out. That game is probably worth money because I bet you it has not been replicated since.
I'm curious to see because
Or
I'm going to
Rumble
bring
Roses. Remember that one?
Rumble Roses. Damn. Now, see, you're stuck in you're still stuck in the PlayStation.
That was right at the end of some
Do
of
you
that kind
remember-
of shit.
do you remember-
Leisure
Yeah,
Suit?
there you go.
There was
Leisure-
one for the
Leisure Suit Larry.
PS2.
Leisure Suit Larry for the computer. I never bought it, but I remember seeing it at Babbage's and like, I want this game because I'm like a little
There was
13-year-old
one
boy who wants to
on
jerk off to a
PS2.
computer game. But I was like, I can't tell my mom that I want this.
There was one for the PS2 where he was in college and shit. I think that was the last one they made. Came out around the same time as
No.
The Guy Game.
I believe it was Leisure Suit Larry Magna Cum Laude.
Yes.
Yes.
That's it. That's it.
And then of course, you got to put the cum
Come
in there.
now.
It's very funny. Now, I can't think of that without thinking of my time working in a wine warehouse, and they actually had this wine that was called Cum Laude.
Yeah.
And every time we needed to put that like in a box, some fucking some Yahoo. I'm not gonna say I was that Yahoo, but I probably was with a magic marker. All right, which one of you fucking chuckleheads put an LY at the end of Loudy? Magna cum loudly.
Used to call it Come Wad.
But yeah, and that reminds me of
Never played it.
the
think
Leisure Suit Larry games. I
yeah,
never played any of them either.
seen
I never
them.
played Rumble Roses. I never played any of those games. It was just like those games where it was like, oh man, that would be so awesome to have. But I wasn't gonna throw money
Those
into
games
a game.
are the ammo that certain people that criticize and scrutinize games. That's right there at the front of the chamber for the stuff they throw out. But what about this, and this? Short little window there where there was that. There was other games, but those were three big ones. And I was like, all right, let it go. Don't play it if you don't fucking like it and it offends
You know,
you.
it doesn't
Don't
matter.
fucking play it.
Does not matter. Does not matter. And you know what?
How many anti-Christian games are out there that are horror games and nobody from Christian groups, but they just don't fucking play it. But if it,
Yeah, you know, it's. I mean, yeah, there is that. There is that, and I mean, once again, we can go on a complete different
I
route
get
on that.
there's a part of me in terms of it is weird the dumbing down of the killing, at least for younger kids that dive into it. It is a little weird. Sometimes you wonder about that, you know,
Oh yeah,
to where it's so real looking and you're just it sucks to talk like that now because before I used to shit on people that would say that, but I almost wonder for the extremely young if it's good to like, hey, take a step back. Let's
you know, and man,
Let's
you know,
do this
Man,
game.
it's like I want to like go.
you want to play a shooter? Let's play this. Oh, I got this old copy of Banjo Kazooie with multiplayer. Let's shoot eggs at each other that shoot out of this bird's ass.
And you know, it's very funny because you know I was mentioning you know being on this gamer renaissance. I've been playing a bunch of old games that I used to remember from my childhood, but I was playing a newer game actually over the weekend. Newer for me, everybody. I'm not super up to date on every fucking thing. But I played Assassin's Creed Mirage. Now, every single Assassin's Creed game takes place in like a different chunk of time in a different country. So you got obviously Valhalla focuses on like Norse mythology. You've got Odyssey that focuses on Greek
Whatever the
mythology.
newest one is, there's people pissed off about it right
That's
now.
that's like that's Japan, and you know what? We can get
Yeah.
into like, oh man, there's a black samurai. I got no time for that. You know, really, like you know, you can sit there and talk about like, dude, it's you know, to me, if somebody wants to say like the SpongeBob, no, I'm sorry, the Barbara Streisand effect, this is the SpongeBob effect. Black Samurai. It's a fucking video game. You're gonna complain about a fucking sponge that talks? It's like, oh, he lives in a pineapple under the sea. Yeah, are you gonna question it? It's imaginary. It's make believe. It's all to tell the story. Anyways, that game is brand new. I've never played it. I've got no opinion on it other than it's in Japan and I like Japanese culture, ninja, samurai, awesome. But Mirage actually surprised me because like I think the first Assassin's Creed is like taking place in Europe, you know, and then you've got Origins that takes place in Egypt. And it's like Egyptian mythology. And it's like, yeah, most people in America are familiar with, to an extent, Egyptian mythology or Greek mythology or Roman mythology or Norse mythology even. But I played Mirage, and Mirage takes place in Baghdad. And I was like, this is fucking weird. Like, what the fuck's going on here? But like they're talking about like the genie, you know? And then it started making me think about like how many things in American culture, like the genie. When you think of a genie as an American, what do you think of immediately?
I've seen
Aladdin?
That's one of them. There's multiple things.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean,
I know what gins are. You know,
Exactly.
I can think of
Well,
different things.
we
I can
know.
think of Wishmaster also.
Exactly. So there's like that. But do you remember as a kid watching like Tiny Toon Adventures and the two big fat hippos, and they're like these big, comical, lovely cartoon hippos, but then it's like, yeah, go try and fucking walk across a river where hippos are. They will rip your ass apart. Genies, the big, lovable blue Robin Williams genie who grants all your wishes. No. In that culture, it's like, yeah, he'll grant your wishes, but it's a be careful what you wish for thing. And then you can get into Christianity with angels. And it's like, oh, aren't angels these little babies with wings playing harps? And it's like, yeah, there's a part of that. But also every time God wanted to bring somebody down a peg, he sent an angel, you know? So there's it was very interesting, and it was I was pleasantly surprised by
Nephilim
Mirage.
have the blood of angels.
Exactly. Once again, that's another thing where it's like most people don't know about Nephilim. Didn't we do an episode on that a little
They
bit? We
might
touched
have,
on
their
it a
names
little bit.
probably come out a little bit here.
You got David and Goliath, where Goliath, big evil giant, David takes down the Nephilim. There's stuff like that. But yeah, like with Mirage, which I believe I think Assassin's Creed Valhalla came out, and then Mirage came out, and I don't know which one was received better. I have a feeling that Valhalla had better reviews than Mirage, but this new one that's a Japanese one, I'm gonna play it if it comes out. If enough people don't fucking bitch about a black samurai, I really don't care about that. There's enough goofy. I mean, dude, there's a anime called Afro Samurai, and it's awesome. It's an awesome anime. You got Samurai Champloo. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, and I'm pretty sure that there was some African American either protagonists or antagonists. I got no time for that. It's fantasy. Just enjoy the story, But yeah, those are the newest games I've played. That is the newest game I've played. I can't get into the new games. Not because the storyline isn't as interesting. I just don't have the money for a new system. And then of course the systems themselves. It's like, oh, you want the newest system, and then you buy it brand new, right? You buy it brand new. You're like, oh man, I can't wait to play this PlayStation 17. And then you get it home, paid $5,000 for it, got all the upgrades. Well, not upgrades, because that's the thing that you get bummed out when you get home. Hook up your PlayStation. Like, oh man, I can't wait to play fucking name a game. And then you put the disc in, the game you just bought, the brand new game with the brand new system and the brand new controllers, and then you plug it in and like, this system needs an update. I hope you have the internet. Get the fuck out of here. Oh, hold on, man. You good? Yeah, I got this. All right. Well, anyways. Damn. Well, probably just blank this part out, but if we don't. I think I really fucked it up going into newer games. Got to talk about them retro games. Most people don't understand. And I never understood it myself. I always, as a 7 or 8 year old kid playing NES games, it was kind of like you'd see, mostly with video games that were adaptations of movies. They tried to add that story into the video game. So you're sitting there and it's like the main title screen comes up and you got start and you got options. And if you cared to look into your options, which I did at the time, especially if the options allowed you to have more lives, more continues, or change the difficulty because you were renting the game from a video store, from a gas station that you needed to get back the next day because that's how gas stations worked. But you would sit there, let me think. What's a good movie adaptation game? Maybe Willow, maybe Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. I was a little kid, and then I watched this movie with fucking Kevin Costner and fucking, come on, Jimmy, bring me the name. God damn it.
Alan Rickman.
Boom, Alan Rickman. And you're like, oh, man, they made a fucking Nintendo game based on Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. And you see that start screen pop up, and you're just like hitting that fucking A or that B button. You get the fuck off of this. I want to play this video game because I just rented this from the Lake Anna fucking gas station, and I got to take it back tomorrow. And, you know, you didn't pay attention to the storyline. You didn't give a shit about that. All you wanted to do was be Robin Hood, shooting arrows at fucking bad guys. And then you find out that it's like, this is not a game meant for children. This was a game meant for adults, for a game that never should have been made, because it was a game meant for people like us now, not for what they were trying to market it for.
I mean, like Zelda 2?
Zelda 2. See, I never even bothered with Zelda 2. Never played it. Not
I tried
one
playing that shit when I was
pixel.
like 6 or 7, and I was like, fuck this.
Really? Oh, damn. That reminded me of Kung Fu. But no, like
I
Zelda
didn't know
2.
shit about managing HP and all that
You know,
shit and
it's-
MP.
It's very interesting that you mentioned Zelda 2, because a lot of people make comparisons to the gameplay of Zelda 2 with Simon's Quest.
Well, it's pretty much the same
exactly.
engine.
I played the hell out of Simon's Quest, but I would not touch Zelda 2. But you played it and you didn't like. I mean, how far did you get in it?
Not that far until
Not that
we
far?
got Game
Nah.
Genie.
Hey,
It,
I didn't
it was
get that.
all right, but it wasn't as fun. It was very frustrating.
I didn't get any further than the first mansion in Simon's Quest. Do you know when I beat Simon's Quest?
Probably
when-
when you were an adult.
Yes, when you had it for the virtual console for the fucking Wii, and I needed the fucking walkthrough on the internet to do it.
Yeah, man. Fucking games are hard.
They were meant. It was weird. They were targeted at kids.
Think about this.
But
They
they were
sold
meant-
Battletoads to the fucking Ninja Turtle crowd. Remember how hard Battletoads was?
I only, you know what the funny thing is? Like,
Get to the hovercraft level?
dude, I played Battletoads for the Super Nintendo. It was Battletoads and Double Dragon. That's the only Battletoads I played.
I remember that one.
That was actually pretty cool, but even that one, I rented it. Once again, folks, you know, living out here in the country, yes, we could go to Fredericksburg and we could rent video games from the Blockbuster or the Movie Time, Movie Gallery, Movie Stop. Just add movie with another
Hollywood
verb.
Video.
Hollywood Video. That's it. That was another one. But like, if you lived out here, out in the country, you could go to the fucking Sportsman's One Stop or the Lake Anna Market, and it was actually surprising that they had the video games that they had. But like, yeah, you would get that whatever video game that they. Dude, I remember playing Dracula. Do you know Dracula for the SNES?
Was it Bram Stoker's
Yes,
Dracula?
yes, it
Yeah,
was
off that movie.
with the
yep.
fucking Keanu Reeves. Dude, it was basically like, if I remember it correctly, maybe I'm thinking of it incorrectly, but to me, it was basically a Prince of Persia palette swap. You know, it was a side scroller where you're like slowly walking around and climbing up ledges and trying to fight stupid shit. Dude, do you know that they made a Warlock game for the SNES? That I played that one. I played let me rephrase that. I played the first level of Warlock. I loved the movie. Another movie that I should not have seen when I was a kid. But man,
Like when the tongue gets ripped
he
out.
fucking he goes
spits it
and
in the frying
kisses, he
pan.
kisses that dude and fucking rips his
Yeah.
tongue out and spits it in the frying pan and then takes one of the rings off of his fingers. Fuck yeah, dude. Totally fucking.
That's the main part I remember
That
about that
is
fucking movie.
straight up like ding-a-ling, gay as hell. But I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. It's pretty brutal.
When you see that shit when you're a kid, it's like if you're watching like the first Terminator. You know what part stood out in my fucking head?
In
When I was a little
Terminator?
kid, the first one, when Arnold's fucking in that bathroom and he takes his fucking
Fuck
eyeball
yeah,
out
dude.
and shit. Ugh.
You know what?
Violent ass movie. That part where he's all like slicing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
There's those
dude.
little scenes like, what the fuck?
You know what's weird is like in Warlock, that scene the one you mentioned where he's fucking kissing the dude and he rips his tongue out, like that one gets to me. But then the other one, and dude, it's me with like feet and hands and toenails and fingernails, digits, man. It just it fucking tingles my butthole.
Like Sturvicos.
Oh fuck, man! Anything dealing with my fucking digits or my fingernails, man.
That scene in that
me.
movie is the only thing I remember about it. It's been 20 years since I've seen it.
In
Is
Warlock,
that fingernail scene?
in Warlock, the Warlock character is trying to escape the two protagonists, and he's got like footprints in the sand, and the fucking demon hunter gives the girl Cassandra with a K. Anyways, I remember that too. Anyways, he gives her fucking hammer and nails, and she's like walking through the sand. She's getting older by the minute, and she sees his footprints, and she puts a nail in his footprints in the sand and hammers the nail in, and then like he can feel that with himself, and he's just like fucking writhing in agony in this fucking train, in this train cart like a fucking hobo. And it's like, oh, that's old school. Like, no CG. There's no CG. There's no nothing. There's just a lady fucking pounding nails into footprints in the sand, and then slice frame to a dude fucking writhing in agony. There's no CG. You don't need to have fucking, oh, god damn it. The guy who did The Thing.
Oh my God, John Carpenter?
Yeah, well, John Carpenter did The Thing, but the guy who did the puppetry and the monster work for The Thing, Rick and Morty did a fucking episode on it where
He also directed movies. He did the fucking all that shit. They used his name a lot. In that
exactly. His name is synonymous with like
his son makes movies.
God damn it.
I think he did like Reanimator and some of that shit possibly.
Cronenberg. Boom.
Yes.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yes. Haha. Fuck you, Google. We don't need to fucking
his shit
use
was
you.
pretty goddamn
Mostly
brutal.
because we can't use it right here because we live in Partlow. It's Partlowian podcast.
Shit.
Cronenberg.
I think he messed with that movie, The Brood.
Dude. Oh man, god damn it. I don't want to talk. Oh shit, man. I spilled whiskey all over my pants. Looks like I peed myself. Anyways, I don't want to speak about any of the Hellraiser stuff because I'd really like to get Ron out here to talk about that. But man, the the Hellraiser stuff. There was another particular name, a Cronenberg like name. Damn, now I fucked up on it because I was like, oh yeah, fuck you, Google. And now damn. Oh well. Anyways.
Yeah, Cronenberg, you just think grotesque shit.
Exactly, man. Like the spider head and the Thing. I mean, everything about the Thing, the
That was
Fly.
a horrifying. Oh my God.
Exactly,
The Fly, dude. That
dude.
shit gets fucking nasty.
Dude, here's the thing about the Fly. You know what?
You think those two did Earth Girls Are Easy like right after The Fly?
Earth Girls Are Easy.
Both those two main people are in that movie, that horrible fucking movie.
Ooh. You know, okay.
Was it Gina Davis and God damn it, Goldblum?
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, he fucking wigs out.
You know, I'm pretty sure, you know what, maybe there's like a, what is it, 3 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
You know, Nicolas Cage is almost like the Goy version of Jeff Goldblum.
Dude, did you know this? Right? Now, this is not connected, but it reminded me of it. Earth Girls Are Easy makes me think of, for some reason, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Right?
In that time frame, late
Yeah,
80s.
but did you know this? Did you know that the trolls in Ernest Scared Stupid were repurposed models from that movie?
From Trolls?
No. From the trolls the troll enemies or antagonists from Ernest Scared Stupid are basically repainted models of the masks from Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh shit.
Yeah, dude. Dude, look at the images. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Look at some of the trolls. And then basically what you'll see is a less garish. They spray painted them with a little bit of brown and green. But it's the same puppetry and models from Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
I bet you the same people that made that fucking horrible thing they used in Masters of the Universe that was apparently supposed to take Orko's place, you know, that weird troll thing with the...
Yeah.
Fuck that guy. But he looks like he could have been used with that shit. They could only do so much, man.
Exactly. I was going to say, it was, you know what? That movie was... it was a product of its time.
I was pissed there was no...
Orko was the coolest, though,
dude, I was a little kid, and I was like, that's not Orko. And I knew they were using that character to replace fucking Orko.
Red trench coat, blue fucking wizard
I want the
hat.
floating alchemist.
Exactly, but they couldn't do it in the 80s, man. Well, you know what? You know what? That's bullshit. They could have, because they did Jawas.
There was no Battle Cat.
They did Jawa. Battle Cat. Okay. You know what? Orko.
Or you call him by his regular name, Cringer.
Orko was, in my opinion, easier to do than Battle Cat.
Do you know how badass Dolph Lundgren would look riding on a green lion?
Do you know how badass it would have looked back then and how dated it would look right now? Because you know what they would have done, right? They would have done claymation. They would have done claymation.
It would have been like fucking Clash of the Titans.
Yes.
Where the gods are playing with their toys.
Mm-hmm. Or the
What a
release
great movie.
the Kraken.
I liked Clash of the Titans.
It was pretty cool.
I look back on it, man. I remember watching a movie when I was a little kid, made in the 80s. I thought it was made a lot earlier. That's how old that movie looked back then.
Dude, I mean...
I thought that shit was made in the 60s, man.
That part where, like, he stabs, like... dude, I can't remember. It was like... It wasn't... Was it Decius? Decius was the main character?
I believe so.
He's like... He had just fought the Medusa, and he had her head in the bag, and then there was that weird, like, dog rat looking thing with, like, the fucking fork for a hand, and he sneaks into the camp and he stabs the Medusa head in the bag, and then, like, scorpions or something come out. I think it was like scorpions or snakes or something. That was a badass. Once again, awesome uses of claymation for back in the day. There was two things you could do. You could do claymation, or you could do...
God damn it, what Freddy sequel was it where they had a little bit of awesome claymation?
Dream Warriors.
That's it, yes.
Dream Warriors! From
That
Dokken.
shit was
Dokken.
creepy. Oh, man.
Everybody out there, Dokken, best band in the world. I'm sorry.
Fun fact about Dokken, and I'm sure he doesn't play in this band anymore.
Give me a fun fact.
The name of the guitar player in Dokken was George Lynch, and you know he started a fucking side project, and you know what he fucking called it? Back then, there was nothing. You didn't think
Please.
Lynch Mob.
Really? Why wouldn't it have caught on? Can we find out where George Lynch is from? Is
Then
it
he got back
Alabama?
together with Dokken.
Of course he
went
did.
back to Dokken.
Of course he did. He would have had to.
I got a card now. I'm Dokken. Oh, gee.
But no. It's very funny because you mentioned that claymation scene. That was a very creepy scene because in Dream Warriors, it takes place in I believe
Mental.
yeah, it's like a mental
youth
institution.
mental.
Yeah, and one of the guys is all like he likes his coping mechanism is to make puppets.
Yep.
And then the Freddy, it's just like a random marionette. and then like the clay on the face starts to mold into Freddy's face, and he drops
whole
down.
fucking scene, man,
Dude.
And then when it had the part where it was like they had regular Freddy, like they had the him faded in the sky.
That's the example. God damn it! I was gonna say and this was actually an example of two different types of
real quick,
filmography.
though,